Any questions? Garrett?
Speaker, your oversight committee sent a letter asking for the head of the GSA to come and testify. I'm wondering if you could speak to why they decided to do that now, and more broadly, what do you see as the House's role in ensuring a smooth transition?
Well, I don't know that they asked for a testify. They wanted a briefing. They asked for a briefing. Testify is different. That's a hearing. They asked for a briefing, and that is hopefully before Thanksgiving that will happen. You hope that people would have good faith in the jobs that they have. You want to give them a chance to get that done. It is totally mystifying that the GSA refuses to make the statement necessary for the transition to happen in orderly fashion. They've been sort of Trumpian from the start, from the Trump Hotel and all the rest of that way back when, so no surprise that they are following that lead, which is most unfortunate for the country. But what they're saying is, explain to us what your basis is for going down that place. Yeah, and again, everything was kind of, let's let it see what let's hope for the best. Let's hope that there be enough Republicans to say, this is America, the people's voices count, and that must be respected. So to the extent, it won't be long before we have a certification, the meeting of the Electoral College, December 14th, and then here in the House on January 6th. But again, it was really trying to be unifying. Let's take our time, let's give them a chance, and that's why we don't have a hearing, we're just having a briefing.
And to the second part of that question, I mean, do you see an expanded role for the House in trying to make sure this process goes smoothly, especially as the president continues to refuse to concede?
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm not one to show my hand, but nonetheless, we're ready. We're ready. Yes, sir.
Between the plots against Governor Whitmer and the two guys who drove up from Virginia to Philadelphia during the county, do you or other Democrats have concerns that the longer this goes on in terms of Trump challenging the vote and other Republicans saying he should exhaust his legal options and it's still an open question and so on, that raises the prospect for violence?
Well, we all have to know that the President of the United States, his words weigh a ton. They weigh a ton. And people hear things in a way that could encourage some unfortunate situations, as they have done in the state of Michigan. You would think that there would be, on the part of all Republicans, a rejection. Did you see the array of agenda items the Michiganders had? Public execution. Have you seen it? Yeah, so you know how dangerous it is. Burning down the Capitol and not getting, shall we say, told that that's not appropriate in our country, but instead having, God knows how, what's his name? Atlas. Oh my God. Did you see his statements that encourage that, coming right there from the right hand of the President of the United States, saying you've got to have stir it up in the streets and the rest of that. So this is bad behavior, but again, let's try to be unifying. Let's try to be respectful. There is this element in our country. I don't think Donald Trump created it, but I think he fans the flame, and I think that's a dangerous situation. Yes, sir.
Madam Speaker, as you mentioned, businesses are hurting out there, and still there's about $138 million that's allocated in PPP funds that's there, ready, available. Any possibility on releasing some of that money?
Well, that's up to the administration, and that's why we're saying, what is this? And plus, all the other money that Mr. Mnuchin has discretion over, that's for bigger business, but nonetheless, as the Fed has said, so much a part of our economy it's really, that's why I referenced Sandy Hook. Forget about it. That's why I referenced George Floyd. Let's just move on. People are suffering, and if you don't believe in governance, then it's hard. It's easy for you to say we don't really have to do all of these things, and that's what the problem is. But I'm optimistic that we will have bipartisanship to put something together to go forward, because I do believe that many of our colleagues understand what's happening in their districts and to want to make a difference. There's just one big obstacle in the way. In the Senate, it's Mitch McConnell, but the other obstacle, because he does what President Trump says, and that's President Trump. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As far as those negotiations go right now,
Yes, sir.
who are these active negotiations going on with? Is it House Democrats and Leader McConnell? Is
No,
the White
there are
House
no-
involved? When's the last
No,
time you spoke
no,
with
that's not
Treasury
happening.
Secretary Mnuchin?
Yesterday, there was a meeting of the staff of the four corners. That'd be the House and Senate, Democrat and Republican leaders. The anticipation was that it was really about the omnibus. You have, remember, we have to have an omnibus bill. We must keep government open. That's a very important responsibility during the lame duck. We don't want another continuing resolution. I don't think they do either. So we have an expression. Yesterday was for the staffs to deal with what we call the ash and trash. Just some of the things that are not up here but need to be resolved so that we can move forward. And that hopefully we would have been able to begin a path to the COVID. That didn't happen, but hopefully it will.
So who do you need to engage with? Then? Is
Excuse
it the
me?
White House? Is it Leader McConnell?
No, these were the four leaders. Four leaders, yes, ma'am.
Secretary Mnuchin said this morning that he is meeting with Leader McCarthy and Leader McConnell later today to talk about a stimulus deal for COVID relief. Do you have any plans to talk to him upcoming?
Well, he said in his comments that they would be reaching out, but we're asking him to come back to us. We've been sitting at the table for 6 months plus a week, waiting for them to come back. The obstacles have been they do not want to honor our heroes, our state and local workers, our healthcare workers, our teachers, our first responders, our police and fire, our transportation, sanitation, food workers who make our existence possible. They're saying they don't want to do that, and in fact, many of those workers are laid off. They have risked their lives to save lives, and now they must lose their jobs. Many, over 1 million of them have. The other part of that is that the fiscal soundness of our state and local governments is important to the fiscal soundness of our country. So it doesn't make any sense in terms of meeting the needs of people, honoring the work of our heroes, and again, the soundness of our economy. So we have to get something done. And again, they have been resistant on many of the things that we consider priorities, but everybody knows people are hungry, people are fearing eviction, people need the CARES Act provisions to be extended that address unemployment insurance and the rest. I won't go into how they comment on all of that, but the main thing that they have, the two main things, honor our heroes so that the states and local governments can meet the needs that we talked about, hospitalizations and all the rest. It's coronavirus-centric as well as revenue loss because of shutdowns. But this is the most mystifying to me and the most unscientific. They will not decide to crush the virus. My hope is the vaccine will say, okay, there's a path, so let's stop the spread of it while we manufacture more and distribute more of it. That's it. Thank you.